Hi, this is Scott Ware with Radiance Magazine and the Radiance channel on the Xpnsion network, and we're at the Mindfulness Expo at the Anaheim Convention Center, and I'm with Jasmine Smith. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Wonderful to be here.
Yeah. So you are a spiritual development life coach.
Yeah.
So you throw the word development in there. You helping people develop their life or their spirituality?
Both.
Okay.
Their life with their spirituality.
Sure.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's an expansion. It's a journey. We use these words like journey and process so much, but it's a development. It starts from an infancy, really, of how do I connect all these pieces of my life, all these layers of my being. We are multifaceted, multidimensional humans, and we have a spiritual layer and a physical layer, an emotional layer and a mental layer, and sometimes we forget about a lot of those layers and we only look at one thing.
So you just made me think of something. We have these layers. We have the emotional layer, like you say, the mental, the spiritual, and we'll have these stray thoughts. We won't give it too much. We won't follow it through, maybe. But then on top of that, we have all those thoughts running through our head, many of which are not ours. We just get them from society and from everything.
Right.
So that's a lot of clutter, a lot of things. What do we do? What do you encourage people to do to find what's their real, what parts they should be paying attention to?
Yeah, the mind is so powerful, but it wasn't meant to be the boss, and yet somehow we've allowed the mind to jump into the driver's seat of our life, and we sort of fall asleep in the back. And then we wake up 5 years later and we're like, how did I get here?
We let the mind drive.
We let the mind drive.
Who should we have let drive?
Well, there's an essence of who you are. There's I call it your soul.
Yep.
It's this multi-faceted being of who you are, and to come into relationship with that part of yourself, what you do to distract yourself from those thoughts, or not let those thoughts take you on a train and you get off 5 stations later and you're like, how did I get here? Is really practicing mindfulness and being present in the moment.
So is it knowing that just we're born with these thoughts, so these thoughts just come, but we don't have to give them any weight.
Totally.
But the ones we do give weight to should be the ones that empower us the most.
The ones that we want. Yeah,
right. Exactly.
The mind, the average human has 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and the mind's job is to keep us safe. That's what it's supposed to do. So it sends us warning signals all the time. Don't do that, it's dangerous. Don't get a new job, don't get a new major, don't try a new relationship, it's unknown. And
okay, so
unsafe.
So there's times where it's helpful, but it's not helpful.
No.
It thinks it's protecting us by saying don't go for a new relationship or a new job.
So part of it is just knowing that. And
why wouldn't it want us to do that?
Because it wants to keep us safe and familiar.
Because we might get our feelings hurt, because we don't get hired, or that person doesn't like us.
And we don't like to feel bad or hurt, so we stay in a comfortable, maybe, even if it's sort of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's more comfortable than being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Unknown.
We can take that level of discomfort for long periods of time.
Yeah.
And it's a comfort zone.
Right.
But we're too, okay.
But because it's familiar.
Right.
Even though the brain, that's its programming. It says, well, this is uncomfortable and I'm unhappy, but at least I know what I'm getting myself into.
Right.
By going to something new, there's this whole element of unknown. And it's that soul part of us, that essence part of us that says, no, like you got so much more going on than just this mind. You have so many more layers than just this one thing. Like, I got your back. Step out. Like, the universe has your back. You're supported.
So should we talk to ourselves?
Sure, 100%. I talk to myself all the time.
To the essence, not to those stray thoughts.
To the essence, yeah. And one of the things that I always tell my clients is I say, when the thought comes in of like that old, stale, repetitive thought, you're more than welcome to say, hi, I see you anger, I see you fear, I see you anxiety. Thank you for trying to keep me safe.
Right.
I appreciate you showing up, but we're not going to have this conversation today.
Some people might hear you say that and say, I don't even give it that much time, but what we resist persists though, right?
Absolutely.
So denial keeps it there.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's better to just embrace it.
Yeah, I say when I have those thoughts, I just say, oh, I see you, okay.
Yeah.
It's just an awareness, an acknowledgement.
An awareness.
And a non-judgmental attitude toward it. It's not like, oh, we're not beating ourselves up. Oh, there's that thought again. Why is this happening? It's just, oh, okay, here you are. I see you. You're welcome here.
That's very wise, and that's very emotionally intelligent as well, right? Emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
To learn how to be with those thoughts that make us uncomfortable for whatever reason, or just feelings that come to us.
Yeah.
And just be with that. So it sounds like you walk people through that.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring up feelings because, you know, we're not our thoughts. We're not our mind.
That's a hard one because we think we are our thoughts. We're thinking something and we're just on it, and we just assume this is us.
Yeah.
But actually, we can actually step back from whatever that is.
And observe the thought.
That's a skill.
It is a skill, and that's that spiritual development, life coaching. It's a development, it's a skill, it's a practice, it's a journey. And we're humans, and we're on this human plane, and we're journeying through humanity, our humanness every day in humanity.
Right.
It's and it can be a fun journey when you bring an element of peace and acceptance around it. Like, okay, this is I'm learning. I'm like an infant. I'm like a baby. I'm gonna take my time. And if you're in total bliss and enlightenment, then you're probably not on this plane anymore. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
maybe for a moment.
Well, it's uncomfortable in those moments, and then it's better when you accept things like how you demonstrated.
Right.
And then I think once you accept it, you actually drop something, drop a weight or a block, which feels better, which feels really good, and we're able to just let something go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Right, let it go. Queen Elsa said, she sang it best, let it go, right? I mean, it is, and everything's energy, and so you feel that weight, that block being set down, and you can just... Like I always call it, like it's like for me, it's a deep exhale. Like I'm like, oh,
a deep exhale.
Deep exhale.
You've probably seen that in some of your clients as well.
Yeah, it's you can feel it energetically, and you can see it physically. When somebody says, "Oh, it feels like a weight off my shoulder," and you're like, "Yeah, you look lighter."
I've realized I'm doing that in my life when I have a conversation with someone that says, you know, I dropped something. And it's okay to get used to these kinds of conversations. I let something go, or there was some story I was telling myself a long time that I'm not telling anymore. I'm not telling the world anymore. And that feels really good to just let that go. Yeah.
You mentioned feelings earlier and stories and the mind. I mean, we're storytelling by nature. It's our ancient, what's the word I want to use? It's how we were brought from our ancient civilization with storytelling, right? And so our mind is really good at storytelling. Like it could take one detail and make an entire fabricated story out of it.
There's empowering stories and disempowering stories. And we can choose.
Right, and we can choose, and we get into these loops of these repetitive stories, and these stories create emotions in our body, and those emotions create feelings, and we can get stuck in a repetitive feeling just like we can get stuck in a repetitive story. Empowering or disempowering.
So it's good to notice when you're stuck, when the needle on the record, as they used to say, is stuck. Yeah. And they should go to which website?
It's soulperspective365.com.
Soulperspective365.com for Jasmine Smith, spiritual development life coach. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
And thank you all for watching.